Guys, I had to show you this because this is perhaps one of the most brilliant takedowns ever.
I do not wish to ask a question. I was misinformed. Senator Mullen,
okay.
that's right.
Caught me totally off guard there. I'd like to submit for the record signatures by 32 members of the House of Representatives who are veterans. The signatures call on the Senate to honor the constitutional duty of advise and consent by conducting a fair, thorough confirmation process that evaluates his nomination solely on the substance and merits. His distinguished military service, academic credentials, and a bold vision for revitalizing the national defense. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record.
Without objection.
You know, there's a lot of talk going about talking about qualifications and then about us hiring him if we are the board. But there's a lot of senators here I wouldn't have on my board because there is no qualifications except your age, and you got to be living in the state and you're a citizen of the United States to be a senator. Other than the fact we got to convince a lot of people to vote for us. And then when we start talking about qualifications for if you're qualified for it, could the chairman tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense? Mr. Chairman, could you tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense?
I'd be happy
I'll read it.
for you to do that.
Yeah. Let me read it for you because I Googled
I
it.
was getting some advice from my second in command.
Yeah, but I'm just making a point because there's a lot about qualifications, and I think it's so hypocritical of senators, especially on the other side of the aisle, be talking about his qualifications, not going to lead the secretary or be the Secretary of Defense, and yet your qualifications aren't any better. You guys aren't any more qualified to be the senator than I'm qualified to be the senator, except we're lucky enough to be here. But let me read you what the qualifications of the Secretary of Defense is, because I Googled it, and went through a lot of different sites, and really it's hard to see. But in general, the U.S. Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian. That's it. If you have served in the U.S. Army Forces and have been in the service for, you have to be retired for at least 7 years, and Congress can weigh that. And then there's...
Hold on a second. So you got to understand something, okay, with these Democrats. All of a sudden now qualifications matter, and I'm talking hard qualifications. Now all of a sudden it matters. Didn't matter during DEI, though. DEI, all what really we just needed the optics. We needed someone. You need a strong, independent black woman. Don't need no man. We need to make sure that we have this position was window dressing. We had to make sure that the person had the right color. That's all that mattered. Now, all of a sudden, now we need real qualifications, and I'm talking hard qualifications. Like, I got to be able to read it. I got to see your experience. All of a sudden now, qualifications matter.
Questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary of Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon.
Now, for those of you who don't know, your current Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, was sitting on the board of Raytheon, and apparently they had to sign a waiver. And here's the thing. In my mind, and this is coming from a person, I am not an insider, so I don't get it. So I'm just looking at the optics of it. I'm using my own eyeballs. Don't you see a conflict of interest if you had to step off the board of a military contractor to be Secretary of Defense? Isn't there some sort of financial interest here? Isn't there a conflict of interest? Like, I mean, because you are literally going to be enriching those with whom you worked. Why do we hire a person from the military industrial complex to be Secretary of Defense? That doesn't make any sense to me. To me, that is a glaring conflict of interest.
But I guess that's okay because that's a Democrat Secretary of Defense. But we so quickly forget about that. And then Senator Kaine, or I guess I better use the senator from Virginia, starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down?
My guess is no, no, and no. Like he's calling, this is a brilliant takedown. Because at some point, somebody's got to have the balls enough to say what's what. And everybody doesn't. Here's what's actually really happening with these Democrats. Okay, they're completely disingenuous. The reason that they are going hard after Pete Hegseth is because he's not from their establishment. He's not part of the club. And they can't have somebody as Secretary of Defense that is not beholden to the same power structure that they are beholden to. And trust me, they are beholden to the military-industrial complex. And so they don't want a person there that they're going to have to confront. Say, hey, no, we're not doing that because it's not in America's best interest. I know it's in the interest of the company that's paying you money, that's been lobbying you, but it's not good for the American people. So I'm going to give you a great, big, fat, obese no. That's what they don't want. And secondly, and this is all it's about, optics, what they want is a clicking session. They want people to click on them. They want people to see them. I stood up against Pete Hegseth because he's such a horrible, horrible human being. They want to go on Rachel Maddow. They want to go on Joy Reid. They want to be on Joe Scarborough. They want to go on all these shows, meet the press, and tell them I had to stand up against this guy. He's so horrible, knowing full well all of those senators that you're sitting with are no better. In fact, infinitely worse. I had to show you this. This is the most brilliant takedown. And I'm hoping that they really push back hard, because I want this to be on their resume. And what he just said, how many people showed up drunk? Imagine your senator showing up drunk to cast a to cast a vote. Like, holy crap, man. I'm telling you, that was one of the most brilliant takedowns ever. And typically what you have when that happens, point of order, because they want to retaliate. There was no retaliation, because they know everything he said was verifiably true. My guess is Pete Hegseth is actually going to be confirmed. I could be wrong, but I hope he is. Because here's the thing, they ask him about whether or not he is going to be leading, and it's just going to be him. And he said, no, he's assembling a team. He's got people with broad experience from all walks of life. It's not going to be just Pete Hegseth. He's going to have, it's like a mini administration. People that he can rely on. People that are outside the Pentagon and people who are in the Pentagon. But when he takes the people who are in the Pentagon, those are going to be America First people. They don't like that. All right, I've gone too long on this. If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe. And if you're following me on Rumble, please press that follow button. And until the next time, God bless.